Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Welcome back to Panelists' favorite show. That's right. We do this every other week. And tonight we pay tribute to our favorite front women of all time. Those that go beyond the vocal, becoming a performer that is demi-goddess, an advisor most high. And yes, a lot of them were, yes, probably very high. So that terrible definition of that lead singer of a pop rock band. But yeah, let's give it a little bit more. They're the figurehead. They're at the lead of a group of musicians that takes center stage. It can be live. It can be in an interview. The way they present themselves, the way they dress, maybe they set themselves on fire. Or they ride in on a wrecking ball. No, that's somebody else. They march to some different beat that just captivates us. Now remember, these are our personal favorites. Don't be offended. And obviously sometimes we don't go in the norm of those that are in the top, 50 or 100 of all time. They may not coincide with those greatest. It's all our perspective from where we started our musical journey. And we have a relatively wide range of eras to choose from and the age demographic on the panel tonight. So let me introduce them. He's probably seen the most grateful women than anyone else here on the panel. The Grateful Dude. She is a front woman of our house, but she identifies as a rock star. Susie Q. He's married to a proud Mary, Jeff Crichton.
Oh, nice.
He's a man who's always on the go-goes. Ray Geska. And he's a man that's, dare I say, sassy. Alex Kaluzny, who was coming
I
from
thought the go-go would definitely be me for this one.
But I already had Ray set up, man.
Right.
He's a Belinda Carlisle lover. He had posters of her on his wall. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that was me. I don't know. All right.
And mine was Farrah Fawcett. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Not a lead woman. Well, in the Charlie's Angels, right?
Yes.
There's no one ever named their band that, man. They just didn't want to go there.
What, Farrah Fawcett?
No, the Farrah Fawcett band.
Charlie, can your angels get down like that?
Yes.
No, it should have been Farrah and the Fawcettts.
Yes. They're here to turn you on. Okay. We'll stop now. Bad dad jokes. All right. So the panels lists are bringing their favorite 5 female front women of all time. And, we only have one woman on the panel tonight, only because of scheduling, etc. I'm sure we had many we had to shoo off. There was too many that wanted to get on to do this. So, Sue, why don't you kick us off with your number 5?
Okay. I don't know why I did 10, but I'm gonna. It's been a long day.
Apparently, honorable mentions. You'll be there with Jeff Crichton all day. He's got 35, I think.
You're making up for the women that could be on this show.
That's right. That's true. All right. Well, I'm gonna stick with this one. I had her at number 10. Someday I'll learn to follow directions, but I went with Debbie Harry, Blondie. I don't know why, but I always associated Blondie with like when I was super young, but really Rapture came out in 81. So I wasn't super, but it's such a weird memory. And I thought it was the coolest song. And she's one of the first female voices that I remember that I thought, wow, this is like, she's something different out there. And took some chances. And so, yeah, I think she deserves to be in my top 5, even though she was number 10. I'm bumping some others out of the way.
All right. It's a fair pick. Great pick. All right. Grateful Dude, what's your number 5?
Well,
all 5 of them are women I have seen,
Nice.
and
You've seen a lot of women.
He's dated all of them too.
Yeah. Well, we'll hold that part for later. My number 6 is Ronnie Spector of the
Six.
Ronettes.
Yeah.
I saw her in Vegas in her later days in like 81, 82. She's a great woman. Fabulous. Even in her 80s, she had mannerism. She really put up a show. But Ronnie Spector is my number 5.
Cool. Great pick. That was on my list as well. Let's go over to Alex. You got a number 5?
Yeah, we're going to go with Lacey Sturm of Flyleaf.
Okay.
Mhm.
One of my favorite ranges of a metal vocalist, especially in the female. She has an incredible ability to go to a higher note than many others. Very energetic vocal, and one hell of a live performance. Ironically enough, never seen her in person, but I've watched a couple festival videos and gotten to see some of their acts, and very impressed by the show they can put on. So she's taken center stage for me from watching that, and I got to go with Lacey Sturm.
Okay.
Nice.
She has the growl vocal too, right?
A little bit, but she also has the ability to like kind of go to this smooth, clean level though, where it kind of just sounds like her voice floats for a note and then kind of hits back again.
Yeah. I figured between you and I, and there'd be a little bit of the people trying to break through to the other side. Ray.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Number
sir.
5.
Oh, no. All right. Well, needed to eliminate a bunch of them to give number 5 spot to a worthy gal. This one achieved international fame as the lead singer of her band. She was the main songwriter. She performed on both electric and acoustic guitars at times. Her voice was otherworldly, including a yodel and a strong Limerick accent. She was raised Irish Catholic and was a soloist in her church choir before leaving to go to form her fruitful band in 1990. The band had some amazingly good tracks, and she became one of the most recognizable voices in alternative music. Sadly, she passed 7.5 years ago. She's the lead singer of
The
Cranberries. Linger,
Cranberries.
Zombie, Dreams, Promises, Free to Decide. And before I got on, I just watched an incredible version of Ave Maria. She performed with Luciano Pavarotti.
Yeah.
1995. She is Dolores Mary Ellen O'Riordan of the Cranberries.
Yeah.
Oh, what a voice.
Yes.
Very
Beautiful,
deserving.
beautiful voice.
Yeah.
It could be beautiful, could be harsh, could be, oh man.
Surprise you,
she got it all.
Craig?
It's funny that the song like Zombie, right? I
Yeah.
hate that song. I hate it. It's just it doesn't have it is what it is, but there's so much more of her
Yeah.
catalog and the
Yeah.
band's catalog is so much better.
She's my number 6.
Yeah. Mr. Crichton, number 5.
Yeah, she's an honorable mention on
Yeah.
my list, on my various list here. So my number 5, I had to do a lot of toiling back and forth. I felt like, okay, is this going to be what I want? But I'm going with what I had. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay. And I'll start. My number 5 female, my favorite female artist or frontwoman or whatever you want to call this. She started out as a writer for Cream magazine of all places, and she she was playing at night, writing during the day, and she was one of the first women to come out of the punk movement in New York, and she's been for me a trailblazer as a writer, as a performer. She's influenced so many people. So many people have given her accolades, like Michael Stipe as one. And from her first album, Horses in 1975, she in like a 50-year career, she's only put out 11 albums. But because the night is so young, my number 5 pick is the wonderful Patti Smith.
Yeah. Great pick.
Good one.
Great pick. Did you have you've seen her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she doesn't play out that often. But
no,
boy,
and
her records are fantastic.
Yes.
To me, they are.
No, they're very good.
They are good. Very good.
All right, I'm going to pull a technicality on two artists. Will be my number 5. And they both are actually.
What's up with that?
They were both. They were both actually in bands.
To pull a technicality, one's got to be Sting.
So the first one is Sass Jordan of Canada.
Oh.
And there's a reason why. She's in a band called Sun, which is something onto nothing, which actually has 2 members of Whitesnake on it with her. And she can carry a band so much that she was actually in the running to be the next lead singer of Van Halen.
I remember that.
So that tells you where the performance, the level, and the tenacity is. And the other one is one of my favorite performers of all time is Bjork. Now, she was in the Sugar Cubes. I could have cared less about the Sugar Cubes, but there's still some stuff. But on a technicality, Bjork would be in there with it too because of the vocal range, the oddities, and how to weave a show and I don't know, what do you call it, an eclectic view of how a concert should be put on, and the music that goes along with it. So that's my number 5, so to speak, quickly. But Sass needed to be mentioned because I think if she was not from Canada and she was in the U.S. and had not, there might have been that she was in a band, and that might have been where she would have been instead of a solo artist. Just my opinion. But I've seen her multiple times, and she throws down, that's for sure. Anyway.
Man, this is really hard to ugh. I don't know. All right, I'll just have some honorable mentions at the end because I'm just going to stay true-ish. I'm going with, I picked Amy Lee of Evanescence.
Hey.
I love her voice. I don't think there's anybody who sounds like her. It's definitely distinct for kind of a rocker voice, classically trained, but she can hold her own with the heavy stuff, and it sounds rock, but it sounds elegant at the same time. And so I don't even know where they stand now, where she is now, but definitely Bring Me to Life, Linkin Park, My Immortal, Going Under, Call Me When You're Sober. Just incredible songs, incredible vocal power, and yeah. So I'm going with her. I'm just mentioning with her.
Oh, that'd be on a lot of people's lists.
I don't know. I don't know.
A variety of age brackets. I'm sure Alex might have had her on his list.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. I don't know how it was with everybody else, but when I started, I'm like, geez, maybe there's not as many as I think there are, and then all of a sudden, it started to happen, Yeah. And I actually cut out those that are not in bands or they're just solo artists. They don't. So. Grateful Dude. Number 4.
Yeah. Number 4. I remember this like yesterday, this concert. I first saw her on. It was first and only concert I saw her on. It was January 1st, 1970. And she passed away in October of 1970. She was probably the most moving person I've ever seen on stage, being that young, being 16, and seeing her. It was a very moving moment. I'm talking about the incredible Janis Joplin. She was she was the best at any kind of songs. People put her in the screaming kind of emotion, but I've heard her sing in many different styles, and she will always be the best. Why I didn't vote her number one, you'll see, but she's still very close.
Yeah. It's a
Suspense builds.
Yeah.
It's a short time too. When you think about that career and what it could have been, and how there was a woman who knew the blues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would have had somebody on my list that's similar to her, but she's never been in a band. So, anyway,
Who was it?
Alex.
So Sue took my number 3, and my idea was I was going to bump everyone up, and then replace them with a honorable mention, and then Chef Jeff stole that. So we're going to go off the board a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with one that's off the board that I guarantee no one else has. I'm going to go with Maria Brink from In This Moment.
Wow. Okay.
There is a lot of potential in her voice, and I say potential because I know her career, albeit as long as she's still going, is still young. But they are a metal group that has completely invigorated me in the new era of bands, and to find that you have a female vocalist fronting that heavy with her scream, she has an intensity to her voice that kind of makes it sound like you hear her doing something amidst her storytelling behind the vocal. Like, it sounds like she's out of breath because she was running from someone amidst her singing. And her ability to inflict that into the storytelling of a song is underrated, I think, from my perspective, and something that is unique to the genre, that you can get away with that. So let's throw her in at number 4.
Okay. No, it's a good choice. That's somebody new, somebody can look up. But that's new metal. Numetal. Okay. Mr. Geska.
Yes.
Number four, please. Can you get the
4? Well, this girl was every young rock and roll kid's main chick in the late 70s, early 80s. Her catchy hooks, her soaring vocals, her badass attitude, her sexy good looks. She ran with the shadows of the night. She was making me promises in the dark. Her catalog was deep. She had 2 multi-platinum albums, 5 platinum, 15 Billboard Top 40 hits, and she herself was likely the cause and end of the Thursday at the Square events at Lafayette Square downtown, where in 2001 she packed in like 5,000 or so people into that little area and
Yep.
Lafayette Square between Maine and Washington.
Yeah.
Literally took me 45 minutes to get from Main Street on one end of the square to Washington on the other end of the square. And she was just fantastic. She has performed with her husband, Neil, for all these years. She is Patricia May Giraldo, better known to the world as Pat Benatar.
And she, at that show, I wasn't there, but did she move to the jazz arena more than the?
No.
It was
That was a rock and roll show.
It was so rock and roll show. Okay, all right.
It was a hit show for sure.
And I'm pretty sure that was the end too, because wasn't Downey the night before or the week before or whatever, and he packed in a shitload of people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got like really crazy downtown. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, until Ray started talking about music, I thought he was describing Tawny Katane.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Hot, sexy chick right there, right
All
on.
right. Mr. Crichton's going to 4.
And this is an artist, I had the honor and pleasure of working many of their records. And from the first time I heard Brass and Pocket and Kid on that incredible first debut album by the Pretenders, And then, after their second record, they lose two members ODing. Then they put out this incredible record that we worked called Learning to Crawl in 1983. And the first time I heard Middle of the Road, it brought the animal out in me. And I was at a convention, and I almost wound up throwing a chair. And so, not for that reason alone.
Right.
But because continually for 46 years, Chrissie Hynde, through all the incarnations of the Pretenders, has stayed steady. She's kept her attitude.
Yeah.
Martin Chambers his come and gone is the one anchor for her as the drummer behind her, and other players have come and gone over that time, but she remains special, and so Chrissie Hynde is number 4 for me.
Yeah, she's on my list.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna go a little dull here, I guess, from a standpoint of like usually I'm off the chart or whatever, I go off in some strange place, but I will second the notion of Deborah Harry for Blondie. There's no question she had to be in the top 5. She is the most notable female performer in that genre who, when she's on the stage, it's all or nothing. And usually it was all. And and she wore what she wanted to wear, did what she wanted to do, and total, it's like the other ones that noted the badass thing. There's a, like Stevie Nicks talks about how they fought so hard for women's in the feminist role and all that, and to get, no longer in the kitchen and going out and crushing it and doing those things. And I think Deborah Harry definitely makes that pitch the truest.
And how did that Rapture song with that one line get on the radio? Must have went right by programmers. Yep.
You think about it, right? Tom Petty's thing there about what was the song with the pot in it? They changed the wording.
You don't know how it feels.
Yeah. Like, what? And you're letting out. Okay, just it's crazy what gets by, right? It just.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we have like the radio playing at Better Smile, right? And sometimes I have to go, did they just say the F word? And the person's like, yeah. And I'm like, go down and change the channel. I can't have that. I can't, it's crazy what slips by. But not that was that way, but still it was, yeah. So I had to have Deborah. Anyway,
Cool.
I didn't skip anybody, did I?
Not this time.
Okay, good, because last episode I skipped people.
Mhm.
That was off the rails. All right, Sue, 3.
All right. I need to work on my build up. I feel like I do everybody a disservice, but I'll get better at it. So this singer, I would say, stands out as being kind of a poet, lyrical poet, very soft, very gentle demeanor. I don't remember when I first started paying attention, but I was drawn to her voice and the lyrics both. She was with a band, and then she also had a really great solo career. Did a little thing on MTV Unplugged. I went with Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think she deserves a mention. So.
Where the heck's she been?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Grateful Dude.
Mark, my number 3 is a woman who has first 10 years of her career, so I paid no attention. She completely blew me away. She's had more top 10s than probably most of the women we talked about, but I want to mention that my sisters loved her, I hated her, and then I fell in love. And I want to introduce Diana Ross.
figured.
Ah.
The Supremes.
Yeah, yeah.
Diana was fabulous, and especially I saw her 3 times in a 2-year spread because she was doing Vegas when I was there, and she was magical. Her voice was magical. Her demeanor was magical. I got to meet her backstage once. She's a sweet, sweet older woman.
Nice. And we didn't get to see Rod Stewart backstage. I guess we didn't get those passes. Huh?
Wrong business. That's that time.
Yeah. Alex.
Top three are changing. I'm not going to alter for any of you who repeat it. My number 3 with her rendition of "Where Are You, Christmas?" Oh. Well, anyways, it still was her, but we're going to go with Taylor Momsen of The Pretty Reckless.
Okay. Great pick.
Yeah, I have such a hard time describing why I'm drawn to her as a fan of her work and how she is as an artist, but it's, again, it fits into this newer era and the way she has taken chances throughout her career, even outside of her music being, attached and associated to just one band for the sake of this list. You got to go with mentioning some of that to her career as well. And she's captivated me. I did get to see her early in her career. So yeah, Taylor Momsen with The Pretty Reckless, incredible frontwoman, and I think embodies the definition of someone who you like for their ability to lead the charge and be kind of the face of the brand, so to speak, of a band.
Yeah. Jeff Young just saw her live a few weeks ago, and he said it was off the hook. Yeah, she brings it.
100%.
All right. Well, really tough eliminating some names here. Are we doing honorable mentions or what?
Yeah, you'll be able to get. Yeah, I'll give you some.
Yeah, tough eliminating some names. Since this is a favorites list, I'm going to drop this one to number 3. Although among all female rockers over the past 60 years, she is probably the finest rock voice there was. Just had a chance to see Cheap Trick open for her and her sister back in March at the E-Bank Don't Call Me Marine Midland HSB Center Arena. Her operatic abilities are something to behold. She is a rock and roll Hall of Famer and just a voice to behold. Her, along with her sister, Nancy, forms the great band Heart. She is Ann Dustin Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Powerhouse.
Yes.
And you're still you still got that when they do all these shows and you're honoring they were honoring Chris Cornell and she does Black Hole Sun.
Yeah.
With Jerry Cantrell. Yeah, you don't get that job unless you can do it, right? And she could do it. She could, yeah. Give her the phone book, she'd sing it and make it sound like it was gonna burn in her hands. Yeah. Excellent choice.
So my number 3, my top 3 are iconic. Number 3, the first time I heard this woman's voice when I was a young lad, and it just struck me. Then I got to see them once in the mid-70s when they incarnated themselves into into another stratosphere. But the band was pretty much in take. They just changed their name, changed a few musicians in the band, but she really stood out. This front woman who was in a iconic San Francisco rock band. They performed at Woodstock, and she sang about Alice and filled your head. I'm talking about Grace Slick.
Yep.
Hard to have a thing like this in the era that you guys grew up in and not mention Grace Slick.
Yeah, I was a baby then. He grew up.
Impossible.
That's the first I've ever heard of this person.
The Jefferson Airplane Starship. Grace Slick.
Don't you want somebody to love, Alex?
Yeah.
You
know
heard
what? I've heard her. I didn't know her by name.
Okay.
Grace
Wow.
That's
Slick.
fair.
Yeah.
He needs a transplant.
Yeah, not Grace Jones.
No.
Grace Slick.
Yeah. Yeah. Go pull out the album Surrealistic Pillow or Volunteers
Yeah.
Blow your
or
mind.
the Starship's Red Octopus, which just celebrated its 50th anniversary.
Wow, that's 50. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
50 years.
Wow. I might have to break that one out. I had that in a while. All right.
Just imagine if she joined the Eagles. I still wouldn't know her.
You know what? And good for her, because she retired from the biz, I want to say 25 years ago or more.
Yep.
She retired because
Wow.
she said she doesn't want to grow old in it. So she turned her back on it and lived on her earnings. And I think the only time that she came out, the airplane Starship, they wound up getting a star on the Hollywood Hall of Fame. And she came out with Jack Cassidy and Jorma Kaukonen. She came out with those two, and the three of them were there for getting their star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I'm going to give you, I mean, the person who was just mentioned was in 2 bands, but was she really in 2 bands? This one is, and she kills it in both. She's in the Kills, and she's in the Dead Weather. This is Alison Mossart. And she is a force of tenacity and vocal and her delivery. This is going to be your alternative blues and heavy, and rock, but not heavy, but with the Dead Weather, yes, that one guy's there from the White Stripes who, you can't miss his guitar playing. But her own band, The Kills, is where it started and why she was selected to be in the Dead Weather. And if there's any person who can lead a band in the alternative realm and deliver those lyrics in spine-tingling fashion and make them kind of haunting as well at the same time, it's Alison. And I didn't start off with knowing her that well, but as I grew into it, and her and the Dead Weather, when that came out, I'm like, wow, she's a dynamo, and I wouldn't be surprised if she winds up in somewhere else at a certain point. But definitely one of those, and that's why she's getting up there. My top 2 are Supremus and totally different eras by a long shot. Sue.
Okay. I'm going to go way back. And I don't know. Technically, she definitely did front bands, orchestras. You already know who I'm going with.
Yep.
No, maybe you don't, though.
Oh, no, I know.
No, you don't. You think you know.
I think I know.
Maybe you know. I am going with Billie Holiday.
Wow.
She
Cool.
did start out with Benny Goodman,
Mm-hmm.
Count Basie, Artie Shaw, and a million others. But I can't. She's probably my favorite female vocalist of all time. And yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is because we lead very different lives. We really don't have anything, but for some reason, I've always felt very drawn to her and her. I don't know. There's just something about her. She's just haunting and beautiful and incredible voice. And if you think about it, during that time, the 30s, and she was holding her own. At a cost to her. And it came at a price, obviously, but yeah, Billie Holiday.
Did you ever sing God Bless the Child to the girls?
I'm sure they've heard it played. We haven't sang it together, but yeah. Okay. Is that who you thought, or were you thinking the other?
No, that's who I thought. That's who I thought. Yep.
Or so you say.
Oh no, I'm not saying I knew that's who it was.
Okay.
Grateful Dude, number 2.
Well, I had to make a little switch because my number 2 was Debbie Harry.
Okay.
But somebody I will mention this.
Yeah,
I'm
not?
sure none of you have. I saw her in concert just before she died. The one I'm talking about is Karen Carpenter.
Okay.
I thought she had a great voice.
Beautiful.
Adorable. I was in love with her when I was 15. But she definitely deserves to be up there along with the greats. Even though her life was cut a little bit short, she still deserves to be with the greats.
Okay.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Right on.
Speaking of those that deserve to be with the greats, what's Alex got?
My number 2, I got to go with Lizzie Hale. Basically, I hate to compare genders and make the cross comparison, but she's always given me this female version of Zakk Wylde kind of vibe and aura to her. I did contemplate, but I couldn't quite put her in my top 5.
Yeah.
The thought of a Joan Jett was there.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if I was going to put her in, it would have been at number 2, because I think she's one of the pioneers. But it's a favorites list. It's not who I think is,
Correct.
like Mark described at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say Lizzie Hale for this one really seems to be the one that took a little bit of that Joan Jett-esque style of frontwomaning, and really, I think, kind of turned it up to 11 a little bit to the modern day. So Lizzie Hale, welcome to number 2.
Hailstorm. I have those albums and I play them, and her vocal is like just it's the most present thing on the album. Sometimes the music is where I have the problem. I'm just expecting so much more progressive nature because of her vocal, and it seems like the band doesn't live up to the rest of it. And that's the only. I mean, then that's kudos to her. I mean, that's hard to pull off with a band of that nature. But sometimes that's where I am.
Well, and I think another thing with her vocals is she has I don't want to call it a scream because I don't know that I think it's a scream.
Right.
But she has an aggressive tone to her vocals that sounds more harmonic and sounds like there's musicianship behind it than just emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something she's perfected very well with how she sings on a track.
It doesn't seem like it's screaming for effect. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. All right, Ray, dazzle us with your number 2.
Yes, sir. Well, this next gal came of age over the past quarter century. She is the namesake for the greatest touring rock band in the land right now. Although she got her start in the early 90s, it wasn't until this century that her career really began to take off. She opened for the Stones in 2003, and according to her, she said, "The Stones pay, but not great. I don't make any money because I have to pay all my sidemen. I'd be lucky if I even break even." But the exposure for her was great. Her voice is one of the finest in the business, in my humble opinion, reminiscent of the greats like Joplin and Raitt. But then you add in her guitar and forget about it. She's a great guitarist, but at the same time, she's not the best guitarist in the band.
Oh.
No.
She happens to be married to arguably the greatest guitar in rock and roll. He
Right
is
now.
Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
She is Susan Tedeschi, and they are the Tedeschi Trucks Band, the finest touring band in the land.
Great choice, brother.
Yeah.
They are if you in that vein of music, in that genre, they are number 1. No one's even close. They can try.
That's right. That's right.
In the jazz environment, Snarky Puppy would be the opposite. Would be the other side of that. They hearken to a different beast. Yeah, and that's She Sue. I remember, where were we, Sue, when you got her album? Do you remember?
When I
Sue just-
got
She just took a gamble. It was the one live in Texas. It was in
Yeah.
Austin, right?
Mhm.
And she just says, I gotta. Maybe it was we were in Canada.
Could have been.
Yeah, it could have been an HMV or something. She just picked it up out of nowhere and said, "Wow, look, this lady. Wow, she's got it."
She can, and I've said this from the beginning, and I've told her this before when she was doing her solo stuff. So you could be Bonnie Raitt's kid sister,
Yeah.
like easily.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic pick on my list as well.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to hold off to see because, I had him on my list, the frontman, so because it's an odd frontman. So, Mr. Crichton.
My number 2 is another iconic performer who began her career under the tutelage and brutality of her idiotic yet musically brilliant husband. And she had many hits, the two of them, through the Ike and Tina review. And then she finally broke free of him, and she had to reinvent herself and stay away for a while. But when she reemerged in the mid 80s, she wound up winning a Grammy for Album of the Year. You know her, you love her. Rod Stewart wrote a song about her, Hot Legs. And I'm talking about the woman, the iconic Ms. Tina Turner.
Arguably, probably number 1.
We never, ever do anything nice.
Nice.
I mean, that's a stage presence of
yeah.
You got these people today, the Madonnas, the
Sorry.
all these other artists, and don't get me wrong, Katy Perry, whatever it is, but they do all this dancing on stage, and they're lip syncing.
Yeah.
Tina Turner's out there. I don't
Sweating.
know how the hell she. Yeah.
Sweating.
That's shit crazy,
right,
man.
yeah.
That's like no. Wow. Right. Wow.
He's one of the best.
If you put her in spandex, you could have made a great 80s workout DVD with one of her music videos.
Oh, yeah. How to lose 17 pounds in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Just her and Chris Chelios, right? A hockey lose 5 or 7 pounds. She probably oh yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of people think that they did the first version of Proud Mary,
right?
When Fogerty wrote that, 2 years earlier before they had a hit with it.
Yeah. But I had a lead in for you that was totally different, and then all of a sudden they came to me and I'm like, oh, I gotta use that. Like, how bad is it?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2. The minute I heard this voice, I have never seen her band live. I would love to, but I would love to see it where it needs to be seen. I very much believe that this band is meant to be in a cathedral. I believe the vocalist is a cathedralist, and that is Florence Welch, Florence and the Machine. I can. There are multiple albums and things that she's done and changed things. They go from alternative to rock to classic. It's and she has that Bowie-like style, to her. There's not, she's flamboyant, but not flamboyant, if you know what I mean. Like,
it's a great comparison.
So I'm in awe, and I always wait for the next time. Like, what is she going to do with that voice? How is that going to be portrayed? What are the songs going to sound like? I think she's my second favorite front woman for me. So back to Sue for her number 1.
Number 1. Okay, so initially she was my number 3. Ray took my number 1. And he did a much better job with it than I would have, so that's good. I'm going with this. Oh, I'm going to do a little build up. So this one, maybe she doesn't have the most powerful voice, and she doesn't have long, sexy legs. And a lot of her songs are very poppy. and people might have danced like an Egyptian to her. But she was very, her and her female band were very inspiring to me. And I think I've written a few songs myself. And I think she kind of made music feel accessible to me as when I was younger, that, you know, you could do it and it didn't just have to be cookie cutter type music. They spread their wings a bit and got into the blues a little bit and some other sounds too. So Susanna Hoffs and the Bangles,
Cool.
I'm giving number 1 to her. So
All right. And we saw her. She opened for Don Henley.
yeah.
Can I say Don Henley?
You know he's in the Eagles?
You can say it.
Yeah. And you think about, you know, the scope of that, you know, from the pop side, but you got Hazy Shade of Winter. Obviously not their song, but
Yeah.
Great version.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably better than the original, maybe.
I like it better.
Nah.
I
You like
love
it better?
Simon and Garfunkel, but that's one song I prefer their version. She puts Sue, have you seen, like, she puts videos out now of like
No.
like Facebook Reels and stuff. She's like on there often, just kind of talking and doing like real short snippets, and God,
Cool.
she was beautiful.
She was really involved with Matthew Sweet for a long time, from a standpoint of they did albums together.
Well, unfortunately, you know what's going on with Matthew Sweet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not well.
Sadly. Yeah.
Grateful Dude, number 1. This is the woman that beat out Janis Joplin.
Well, she's been mentioned before,
Okay.
a couple of times, but I have a personal story that goes along with this.
All right.
I was working craft services, which is catering basically, at the Hollywood Bowl. And she was one of the entertainers, the highlighters. And she came over and we had a 45-minute discussion about music.
About Meatloaf.
Music. But she turned out to be the nicest person in entertainment I've ever met. She was sweet. She was approachable. On stage, she was damn dynamite. I'm talking about Chrissy Hines.
Yeah.
Cool.
She was fabulous. I liked her. I've seen her 5 or 6 times. Paid a few extra bucks to get a little closer so I could see her shining teeth.
Yeah. The Hollywood Bowl, man. Wow, you probably saw it.
Yeah.
Wow, we already know you saw a crowd load. That's our one bummer upstate New York, man. We need a Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, well, a lot of places go. A lot of places don't have the temperature for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. we got
Unfortunately,
an
a lot
ice bowl.
A lot of people would toss their wing bones in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you got at number 1?
Well, I had a 3-way tie at the top. I had Vince Neil and Bret Michaels that I'm going to leave off. But I think this person's someone that I actually uttered the phrase the other day that I would love to see Taylor Swift pull this person. And I think to say that, I mean that she had done something in her career that was constantly evolving. She did sell her soul to the dark side that is pop music. But I don't think you can have a list of front women without Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think what she has done for music in her career, showing that she has range, creativity, where she came into the music scene, I think in that era was something that it desperately needed, just to shake things up a little bit and show another side of what women could do in music and being the lead of a band. And it was one of my first, I'll be honest, could probably trace back my listening to female artists back to her being the first one that I had heard in my lifetime growing up and went, "Who's that?" So I owe a little bit here to putting Gwen Stefani at number 1 on my list of favorites.
Wow, and there's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah,
No doubt.
absolutely, no doubt.
It's bananas.
Jesus.
Ray.
Yes. Yeah, Gwen Stefani, she was good. I guess there are contenders for number 1, but after much thought, there could be no other. One of the most iconic vocalists of all time, who has likely become greater in legend than in life. Her vocals, her amazing stage presence, unmatched. We all know her, those amazing mezzo-soprano vocals. You knew her from the Monterey Pop Festival, from Woodstock. Not to mention some great performances on the Tom Jones Show. Go back and check the videos, man. They were great together. She'll always be part of that 27 club, as she left us way, way too young in 1970. She's the one. She's the only. Janice Lynn Joplin. Great drop.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What more can be said?
Well, I'll say some more because
All right.
Ray, I think you wrote that for me too. Because I was going to mention Monterey, I was going to mention Woodstock. When Big Brother and the Holding Company hit that stage in Monterey, that was like boom. That was a breakout moment for that band, and she exploded the stage at Woodstock. And yes, Ray and I've talked about her performance. There's a couple clips from when she was on the Tom Jones Show that is just fabulous. But like the Grateful Dude said, she could sing a song as softly and beautifully as any singer with that. She would let her rasp get quiet, and it's a shame that she was cut down in life by booze and drugs, but she got her only number 1 record posthumously with her Pearl album and her rendition of Chris Christopherson's "Me and Bobby McGee." But if you have never ever heard any of her music, then I highly recommend that you go and get her box set, because it covers the gamut of her early stuff when she was doing demos in Texas to her last breath in 1971 or 1970, one of those 2 years, whatever it was.
70.
But there was nobody else like Janice, and she stands at the number 1. She stands at the pedestal of number 1, just a couple notches above Tina Turner for me.
It's very reasonable. Very reasonable. All right.
Dun, 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 dun.
I said it would be 2 different areas of the and mine is Ella Fitzgerald.
I thought you were going to say that.
Then one of the reasons for this is the same as Billie Holiday in actuality.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the amount of people that would either wanted to work with her, be the backing band with her, or people that were in bands that got discovered because she was there.
Yeah.
You know, and this goes like from, you know, there's Duke Ellington, you got Count Basie, Louis Armstrong. I mean, somebody might know who he is. And then it goes as far as like Oscar Peterson, Paul Smith, Jimmy Rowles. The list is insane for this woman. And the grip and the vocal, and that vocal could be hurtful, soulful, bluesy. Very hard to like say, is that jazz? Is it blues? Is it soul? Is it? I think she's all that, and her and Billie Holiday kind of stand at this very different pedestal than most. And I always hearken back to the idea of without those ladies, who knows where things stand, right? And Bessie Smith, those kind of people who pushed more buttons and dangerous buttons, right?
They came before Aretha.
Yeah.
She was the Rochester Jazz Festival, right?
No, Rochester Jazz
Or not,
Festival
sorry.
was Etta James.
Etta James,
Another
sorry.
front woman
Another,
of interesting qualities, even at an older age.
Yeah.
So at that point, we've all got number one. So I'm going to let the honorable mentions roll. Sue, got a couple.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go fast because most of them have been mentioned by people, but I did have Annie Lennox too, Gwen Stefani, Belinda Carlisle, Chrissy Hines. So, and I think everyone else listed already.
Okay.
And I do, and sadly, I don't know, as a female woman, I have never really gotten into
Janice.
Janis Joplin. Yeah, I don't know why, but maybe I'll pick up the box set and listen.
It takes time. It's not
Absolutely.
Yeah, the box set's fabulous.
something. Grateful Dude, do you have any honorable mentions? I'm sure.
Yeah, I
you
got a couple. Ann Wilson, I want to mention.
Mhm.
She was on my list. Joan Jett, she was on my list. Patti Smith was on my list. And that's about the Cranberries. I can't say much. Yeah, I've been a fan of them since they were a band. So they were awesome. Well, that's about it for me.
Okay. Alex?
I'd say that every one of my honorable mentions have been discussed tonight, except for one, and that'd be Hayley Williams of Paramore.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
she's the big one right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, she's really good.
And it's funny because the era in which that Paramore started to boom was another one that, again, there was a little bit of gap in the female music void.
Yeah.
And a lot of the popularity they got then is the same that's coming around now for them, where it's a little bit of a cult following, that Vans Warp Tour Festival kind of vibe to them.
Ray?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that were mentioned, definitely Gwen and Chrissy both in there. I didn't hear anyone mention Stevie, surprisingly, Stevie Nicks. I've always been more of a Christine McVie guy, but I kind of figured that we might have heard Stevie. She definitely made her mark in history. And a couple that weren't mentioned, I got to give some props to Carrie Underwood. I mean, she's just, of her genre,
Yeah.
she's just fabulous. There's a lot of, and not to mention her unbelievable performance on How Great Thou Art. It just makes me cry whenever I hear it.
Well, if Ray's going to say Carrie, then throw Carrie in on me too.
Okay.
I thought about it, but she didn't lead a band, so I didn't know if she qualified on it.
Yeah. The few that from this millennium, I mean, Carrie, and the same with Adele. I mean, what an incredible voice. And then two, I just wanted to throw a quick mention on. They only had one album that was released in 1992, and I listened to it like a week or two ago. And Linda Perry, who was the lead vocalist for the Four Non-Blondes, what a vocalist! I listened to that album. I mean, everybody knows, What's Up. Usually you hear the dance version of it, but if you hear the original recording of it and listen to some of the other track, this girl had such a strong voice, and it's just kind of sad they only had that one album, because she was really incredible. And then the other ones that I've seen a couple of times are not as well known, but there's such a killer blues act. Couple of sisters, Rebecca Lovell, and she's the lead singer of Larkin Poe, which is just one of my favorite blues bands. They're kind of been called the Allman Brothers Band's little sisters. That's how bluesy and Southern Rocky there. They're really, really fabulous.
Jeff Crichton.
Okay, I'm going to go fast here because it's getting late.
Yes.
So I'm not going to mention the honorable mentions or the top fives that people mentioned. So just off the top of my head, Gladys Knight, Martha Reeves, Kate Pearson. How about Maria McKee from Lone Justice? If you're mentioning Joan Jett, you got to mention Lita Ford
Really?
Because
You.
they were the co-lead singers in the Runaways.
Yep.
And then going to modern time days, well, maybe not so modern time. But what about Dale Bozzio from Missing Persons?
Huh.
There's
Okay.
one.
I might have to go back to that one.
Dale Bozzio, Missing Persons started her husband Terry Bozzio played in Frank Zappa's
Okay.
later
All right.
day
Makes...
bands. And then of course the great Brittany Howard.
Yes.
Alabama Shakes, right?
Yeah, Alabama Shakes. She can.
Oh, yeah.
She is.
Wow, that's a good pull.
Yeah. She made lists that were mentioned. She was the most modern one on the list.
Yeah. She's fantastic.
Yep.
That's a great.
I think that's only going to get bigger. Although that last record didn't do it for me, but that's okay. Well, wait a minute. That was her solo record. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry,
right.
I keep getting All right, I only have two, and both I did not. I wouldn't think they'd get mentioned. These are harder because these are softer deliveries. They're odder deliveries. And first and foremost is Hope Sandoval from Mazzy Star, and she and the Hope Sandoval band she has too. That's a tricky kind of thing. I always wonder when you go to these shows and the like a Lana Del Rey or are you going to be woo? Are you going to go to sleep? Are you going to But I never feel like that's what's going to happen with Mazzy Star. And then the other one that kind of falls into that same one, but in a blues, like Smoky Club, although I only saw her in the rain, and in the middle of the square. That'd be Margot Timmons from Cowboy Junkies. That would be another one that I would say, that holds that thing. The brothers can play. They're ridiculously good, and they got all kinds of effects and blues and jazzy kind of things going on and modern accompaniments. But if it's not for her, then it doesn't come together like it should. So, but all the other ones have been mentioned, and if you want a non-singer, like I gave you, Trucks, I'm going to give you Hedvig Malmstad of the Hedvig Malmstad Trio. She's probably one of the greatest guitar players right now on the female edge of the world. She's Norwegian. She can play a guitar and do awful things with it in blues, rock, and anything. And she is turning the progressive rock and jazz world on end, and she's done it multiple times. And she's actually been in a band, White Willow, too, and that singer generally gets mentioned in these kind of things. So there you have it. I'll thank the panelists for going the distance. These are large, long shows. Don't worry, I'll edit it down for our viewing pleasure. Did we miss anybody? What were your favorite front women of all time? I want to know. We want to know. Who did we truly miss? Who might be somebody that I like the missing persons thing? I got to go back. And Alex, he's gonna have to check out Grace Slick. So what's that gonna be? There's somebody I haven't heard out there, and that one-hit wonder Linda Perry, right? Well, she's got her own solo records. A couple of them, they're very good. But she's a hell of a producer, and she does great things for other females. So, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, the hell are you waiting for? Are you not entertained? Anyway, please like or comment. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. All about bands, artists, albums, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel, and check out tomorrow when we do album review Saturday. We have got some interesting albums that I am positive were nowhere on anyone's list, and they need to be checked out.
Got whatever.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Happy listening.